Hi, everyone. Welcome to SBR Sports Picks. Today is Friday, September 21st, and we have a UFC Fight Night 137 coming up from Brazil this weekend, and we are going to preview this card with Clint, who is a commenter from the Loshak in the Bag show, who goes by the name of animarak. Unfortunately, Andreas Hale doesn't have a good enough internet connection to do the show with us. I would love to hear what Andreas Hale has to say about this card, but Clint, animarak, has very graciously agreed to step in and break down this card with us. We've done breakdowns with animarak before, and if people are wondering, haven't seen him before and are wondering, well, who is this guy, which is a legitimate question to ask, of course, Clint has been sending us in official picks on various MMA events in the Loshak in the Bag show for a while now. His overall record, which I've kept very, very careful track of, he sent us 74 picks so far, 38 and 36, but of course his average line is a big underdog line. Average line is plus 116, 38 and 36. He's up about 11.5 units, up about 13% ROI. Big sample size. That is a very nice record. Clint, a.k.a. animarak from the Loshak in the Bag show. Welcome back to doing specific MMA previews with me.
Thanks for having me, Pete. Happy to be here.
Yeah, that's a nice record there. Is that what you would expect from yourself? Up about double digits in units and in terms of ROI?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of surprising myself just a little bit. I got on to doing this kind of thing watching the Low Bag show. Yeah. So didn't expect to be quite so hot, but it's working out pretty well.
It is not easy, believe me. It is not easy to give official picks publicly. You know, when you're just doing it privately, you tend to forget a little bit about the bad picks, and the good picks, the winning picks, are in the front of your mind. But when you're giving these picks out publicly, whole different ballgame. animarak, of course, has given us some great calls in the past, including Henry Cejudo against DJ. animarak did give that one as an official pick at plus 395, and that one cashed among his many great picks that he's given. And of course, I have a great record as well overall in my official picks going back 2 years, 2017, 2018. So we'll see what we can make of this card here. It's definitely an interesting card. There's a couple of favorites that I think might be big favorites with betting value nonetheless. We'll see what you have to say. The first fight, the main event, of course, is Eryk against Thiago Santos. You know, this is an interesting fight. Santos obviously very skilled. He's kind of a gatekeeper, though. Both these fighters are taking the fight on short notice, as we know. It's scheduled to go 5 rounds. I think there's no way at all that this fight goes all 5 rounds. So I think that it's possible that even, I'm not sure if I'd want to take the under at just 1.5 rounds, which is where the market has priced it right now. But it's possible that the fight not going the distance, even at minus 610, which is the current line at 5 dimes, might have a little bit of value. I'm looking at this fight. I think the question is just, Anders is a well-rounded fighter here. I'm not exactly convinced that he should be the underdog here. I'm thinking that maybe Anders has some value as an underdog, and of course, if I'm going to take him, I would take him inside the distance as well. Maybe Anders inside the distance is a solid bet. That's how I'm leaning. What do you think, Clint?
I completely agree. Santos is a kill or be killed type of fighter. He's never gone 5 rounds before. Anders has gone 5 rounds. We know he can win a decision, but Santos isn't going to get there. He's either going to finish Anders early or he's going to get knocked out himself. I would take Anders just on the straight money line since he is a dog, and if Santos gets exhausted and manages to hang in there, that way you're not losing your bet. I don't hate the inside the distance prop. I can understand it, but I'm just going to play Anders straight.
Really? So because I'm thinking that you know, I'm liking Anders here, but there's no way. Is there any way this fight goes the distance?
You know, he gets a little star shocked. You know what I mean? He fought Leo Cheetah, and he kind of froze up a little bit. Santos is another guy who's been around for a long time. I can see him taking his time, going slow. His last KO came at, like, what, 15 seconds left in the fight when the guy got up and he threw a soccer kick and got him at the very, very end. He might take this slow and just grind out a win.
All right, so you want to make Anders an official pick here?
Yes, I do.
All right, we will line shop here at SBRodds.com. They do have MMA at SBR Odds, and right now I'm seeing plus 135 at Pinnacle, but BetOnline can beat that one, and that is plus 142. So Clint, a.k.a. animarak, is going to take Anders to win at plus 142, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to take Anders as well, but I just cannot see this one going 5 rounds. Again, the over/under on this fight, it's a 5-round scheduled fight, but the total, the over/under is just 1.5. slightly juiced to the over. And, you know, the inside the distance prop right now at 5 dimes is plus 177. So that gives, you know, 0.3 of a unit more if Anders wins inside the distance. So I will take that one. I'm going to take Anders inside the distance. Anders inside the distance at plus 177. If Anders does win a decision here, that will be a very interesting result. Maybe the universe will make that happen just to show me, you know, that I should be a little bit more cautious. But I'm going to take Anders inside the distance at plus 177. You're going to take Anders money line at plus 142, and I think we're both agreeing with that. Why do you think that the market has been betting up Santos just a little bit recently? He's gotten bet up. He's now into the minus 150s, opened in the minus 140s.
You know, I think it's just because Anders is still kind of untested. His last fight wasn't very impressive, and like I said, he won at the very end of the fight by kind of what some people would consider a fluky kick. You wouldn't expect Santos to make that kind of a mistake. So there's a chance that he can come out here and win. And Machito doesn't have the pop that he used to. So Santos is going to be the guy that Eryk is facing for the first time in his career with that amount of knockout power.
All right, so there you go. Both animarak and I taking a shot with Anders here. Now the next fight is Oliveira against Carlo Petterson, and I'm thinking that this is obviously, you know, Carlo has taken a huge step up in class here that a lot of people are suggesting he hasn't earned yet and isn't warranted. It does feel like just a showcase fight for Oliveira. He's a big favorite, but maybe he should be, you know, minus. It was minus 380 a few days ago. He has gotten bet up. I think it's now up into the minus 400s. But again, I'm not seeing that there's any way that Carlo wins this fight aside from like a fluke injury to Oliveira early. Is Oliveira maybe a good bet here, even in the minus 400 range?
You know what? I'm actually going to lean on the under in this fight.
Really?
I think the under is set 2.5, and you're looking at like minus 145 on the under. I would just take that as some protection. I completely believe, I think you're right. I think that Cowboy should be the one winning this fight, but I know some guys that are some respectable cappers that are actually on Petterson thinking he might show up and shock the world here. And if he does, I don't see it being a decision. So I would take the under just to kind of protect myself.
Really, that's interesting because you know, Oliveira to win right now is again about minus 400. Although let me see at minus 408 would be the best line right now at Pinnacle. But Oliveira inside the distance is just minus 125. And I was looking at this fight, I wasn't sure. You know, I was thinking that maybe Oliveira is a good play at minus 400, but I was kind of having a hard time figuring out what was more likely: Oliveira inside the distance or by decision. And if you can figure out which of those two is more likely, clearly the market thinks that inside the distance is more likely. Oliveira inside is minus 125. Oliveira by decision is plus 242. If Oliveira does win, which I think is very likely, which result do you think is more likely to be the outcome?
Oh, I definitely think it's inside the distance. Oliveira's a finisher. He goes for the throat every single time. I hate to say it, but I'm a little gun shy. My last UFC breakdown that we did, I took a lot of big shots, and I whiffed on all of them. So my units are suffering, and I think I'm being a little more conservative this time around because of that. But like I said, if this guy's going to show up and he's going to take out Cowboy, he's probably going to do it in devastating fashion. So I would lean on the under personally.
All right, that's going to be 2.5 minus 145. You want to make that one an official play?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Pete.
All right, Oliveira under 2.5 minus 145, under 2.5 minus 145. And yes, again, animarak's overall record has taken a little bit of a hit recently. Now he's only up about 12 or 13% ROI, huge sample size. You know, so that's nothing to be ashamed of there, animarak. All right, I'm thinking, but so you know some guys who you respect who actually think that Petterson has a chance here.
They just think this line is off. They think Petterson might be tough enough to hang in there and squeak out like a split decision or something. I don't agree with that personally. It's in Brazil. Cowboy's going to get the nod if this thing goes to a close split decision. But they think that Petterson might be a little underrated and show up and catch him in something. They're both good at the ground game. They both got submission finishes. If this turns into a ground scramble, yeah, it's a fight. Anybody can get caught.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, I'm an inch away from taking Oliveira even at minus 408 or taking Oliveira inside the distance at minus 125, but I'll hold off on that one for now. Then the next fight, kind of similar, right? Sam Alvey against Nogueira, and Nogueira, you know, I don't know why he keeps fighting. It's been 2 years since he's last fought. Now he's 42 years old. Obviously, Alvey is a flawed fighter as well, but I'm just not sure. Is there any way Nogueira wins this one?
Yes, there is.
Okay, tell us how.
Nogueira is a legend in Brazil. If
Sure.
this thing goes to the scorecards, it's very likely he wins it. He's a very talented boxer. And the only guys that he loses to are people with an athletic advantage over him. His KO losses have come from Anthony Rumble Johnson, the hardest KO puncher the UFC's ever seen, and Ryan Bader. So I don't see Sam Alvey knocking him out. Sam Alvey's a big favorite. I think he should be a big favorite. He'll likely win a convincing decision. But I'm actually going to lean on the over in this fight.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. I was thinking that the fight definitely, or not definitely, but very likely goes the distance, goes to the cards, because Alvey, as we know, is a he's a low volume fighter. He goes for the knockout. If he gets the one punch knockout, then he looks like it was inevitable and it looks devastating. But if you can avoid the knockout punch from Alvey, he doesn't get finishes. And I was thinking this was going to go to the cards. So if you think it's going to go to the cards and that Nogueira will have the edge because of the hometown judges, if it does go to the cards, you don't think that maybe Nogueira by decision then might have a little bit of value, be a huge underdog line right now?
If you're looking for a gamble, Nogueira by decision would be a massive underdog line, and that might be fun to play just for a little sprinkle. I wouldn't make that an official pick, but that might be fun to sweat on fight night. Alvey, in his last 7 fights, he's only won once by KO. They talk about how much knockout power this guy has, and like you said, if he touches you, it's going to be there.
Yeah.
He'll get that knockout. But he is slow. He's a slow plotting type of fighter, and Rogerio Nogueira, he's not going to leave the kind of openings that Sam Alvey's going to catch. He's a much better boxer than that. I see this thing going to the scorecards, and if it was on U.S. soil, I'd say Sam Alvey all day, but it's in Brazil, so it might slide the way of Nogueira. I think the over is the safe play.
Yeah, Alvey, actually, it's interesting here because the fight going the distance is actually a slight underdog. It's plus 105. Fight not going the distance is minus 135. Is there any way Nogueira wins this one inside the distance?
Like I said, he's a very talented boxer. I don't see him doing it, but you never know. Banana peel, you know what I mean? If Sam Alvey slips, he makes one wrong move, maybe Nogueira's got one shot left in him.
And the market expects Alvey, of course, is the big favorite here. But the market expects an Alvey win by inside the distance as much more likely than by decision. Alvey inside the distance is minus 123. Alvey by decision is plus 219. So this is the same kind of expected split from with the Oliveira fight. The market is expecting Oliveira to win inside the distance much more so than it's expecting Oliveira to win by decision. And it's the same similar odds with Alvey. Alvey inside the distance at minus 123. Alvey by 3-round decision plus 219. But you're thinking that those lines might be a little bit off. Why do you think the market currently has these expectations?
I think they're leaning on Antonio's age. I think they're looking at how Nogueira, how old he is, and how it's been 2 years since he's been in the fight game. You don't expect people to come back looking good, looking sharp, looking strong from that kind of a layoff. And with a current active, good UFC fighter like Alvey, you would expect him to dice a guy like that up. But I don't think Nogueira would be coming back if he didn't believe he had a shot. And like I said, the only 2 people to actually finish him inside the distance in his last handful of fights were 2 of the hardest punchers that we've seen. So I don't think Alvey's got that athletic advantage. You know what? Alvey's also a really nice guy. Believe it or not. He doesn't have that killer instinct like some of these guys do. I can see him going in there, having a boxing match, having a good time, winning a convincing decision over a guy like Nogueira, but not necessarily pulling that kill trigger because he just doesn't want to bury a legend.
All right. So the over 2.5 rounds now. Again, line shopping here at SBRodds.com. Pinnacle minus 101, Heritage minus 110, but Bookmaker has plus 105. So Bookmaker obviously taking some money on the under that they respect. They move the line. So we can give you over 2.5 rounds at plus 105 currently at Bookmaker. You want to make that an official pick?
Yes, I do. Thank you. I'll take that.
Yes, I'm kind of agreeing with you there, and I am also thinking that maybe Alvey by decision at plus 219 might be worth a shot as well. I'm going to have to make a decision quickly on whether I want to add that to my official record or not. Now let's move on to another interesting fight, Renan Barão against Ewell. And Barão, lost 4 out of his last 5 matches, but Ewell on a big 3-fight winning streak against far inferior competition. He's stepping up here. We have seen recently, like Lyoto Machida, a few guys who were at one time, among the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, then at the tail end of their careers go on a bad losing run, and then fight guys who are stepping way up in class to fight them, and they still had a little bit left and were able to beat those guys. That might be the case here. Getting Barão at a very short line here at -125. Is Ewell stepping up too far in class here to justify this kind of a short line?
He is absolutely stepping up too far in class. This is a cupcake fight, Pete. The UFC is serving up one of their old school dogs, one of their old school legends, an absolute cupcake. They're saying, here's one more that you can win before the end, man. Here, take it. So either this kid shows up and proves that he's on the UFC level and storms onto the scene well, or they get a legend like Barão getting a bounce back spot. And I think that's what it is. They're looking to make him shine in Brazil, and he should just be able to walk all over this kid.
Yeah, the line has gotten bet up. A few days ago, it was -125. And I thought, man, that's got to have some good value for Barão. It's definitely gotten bet up since then. Still -150 though, at Pinnacle and a few other places you wager. Do you think Barão has some value at -152?
Absolutely, he does. The other thing you need to know here, Pete, I watched the weigh-ins this morning. Barão missed weight. He's coming in heavy. He didn't look drawn out. He didn't look sickly. He didn't look skinny. He's pulling the trick these guys are doing these days where they give away 30% of their purse and they come in the larger man on fight night. He's going to win this fight. I'm going to make 2 picks here on this fight. I want Barão straight, and I want Barão by submission.
Okay, so Barão to win will give you a -152. That's the current line at Pinnacle. And then let me check the 5 dimes props here. The 5 dimes props here. Let's see. What do we got here? Barão. I'm looking at this. Barão by sub is +255. Inside the distance is +180. Which would you rather have? Inside the distance at +180 or by sub at 255?
I want submission.
Okay.
Barão's got a black Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Ewell is a ground fighter. He always ends up going to the ground. He's got a couple submission wins himself, but those are on the regional scene. Yeah. If this touches the ground, the edge for Barão is going to be massive. And Barão doesn't have, he's got some chin issues. He's been around for a long time. Sure. I don't think he wants to strike with a young kid. Yeah. I think this fight's going to hit the ground. I think Barão is going to submit him, and it's going to look easy.
Okay, so animarak making 2 plays, Barão -152 and Barão by sub at +255. And you know what? I think I will go on that one with you as well. I'm going to take Barão just to win, -152. I loved it at -125. Now, obviously, I love it a little bit less at -152, but I think I still like it enough to make it an official play, and I will go on that one with you, -152. Now let's move on to Marina Rodriguez against Marcos. This is a very interesting fight, right? Marcos, a very inconsistent fighter. At times, she looks awesome and dominant, and then, kind of has an equal number of dud results. Every time she gets a nice win, it's followed by a bad loss. And Marina Rodriguez has been winning and winning and winning. Looks like momentum is on her side. I'm thinking that the lines are relatively even here, but I'm thinking that maybe Rodriguez and maybe Rodriguez inside the distance, particularly or by knockout, might have some great value here. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I'm having a hard time with this fight, Pete. I think a lot of this card, this is a showcase card. They want these Brazilians to win in Brazil. So they're getting this girl who's coming up 11-0, and they're trying to sink her a win here in Brazil in front of the hometown. The only problem is Randa Marcos. She's a tough cookie. She alternates wins and losses. I mean, if you look back at her last 6, 8, 10 fights, she alternates wins and losses. And if you believe in that kind of a trend, her next fight's going to be a win. She dropped her last loss to Nina Ansaroff, and she always goes down by decision. She's only got 1 loss by submission in her last 10, 12 fights. So I'm having a hard time with this one, honestly. I'm going to stay off of it because I can see Randa Marcos showing up for her every other fight type of win, but I would not be surprised if Rodriguez got her inside the distance because that's what this fight is supposed to be.
What, Rodriguez inside the distance?
I believe so. I think the UFC is setting this up so Rodriguez can get a good little showcase win. I just don't want to bet against Randa Marcos because she's gone up against some tough girls like Alexa Grasso, Courtney Casey, Karolina Kovacevic. She went to a decision with all those girls. She didn't get finished by any.
No, I mean, I agree with you. And the thing is that Rodriguez is definitely a finisher. That's a definite possibility here. And Rodriguez inside the distance right now at 5 dimes, +406. I mean, I understand that Marcos might be, might come in here and give a tougher fight than expected. But if this fight has Rodriguez inside the distance written all over it and you're getting +406, what do you think about that?
I mean, I wouldn't blame anybody for taking that bet. I wouldn't blame anybody at all. But you got to remember, this girl is coming in off of a single fight on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. All the rest of her fights have been on the regional scenes. She's completely untested. And Randa Marcos is battle tested in the UFC, and she always goes to decision.
Right.
I don't like this fight at all. I can't pick a side.
All right, so why don't you like then the over is a little bit steep at minus 260, but the fight going the distance minus 225, which is a big favorite line. But I feel like at times, because of the matchups, you know, there can be times when when a fight going to the decision, even at minus 225, does still have some value. What do you think about that?
You know what? This fight is just a complete pass for me because yeah, in these girl fights, if you play all the overs, long term you're going to come out on top, even though you're laying that, you know, that big line there. But like we talked about, she is a finisher. Rodriguez could come in here and get the finish. I don't want to put a penny on this fight because I'm not sure at all how it's going to go. I'm not sure who's going to show up. I'm not sure who's got the edge.
Okay, Clint Animarak, you are friggin' awesome. Here are all of Animarak's picks. He likes Anders to win at plus 142. The Oliveira fight under 2.5 rounds at minus 145. The Alvey fight over 2.5 rounds at plus 105, and Barão to win at minus 152, and Barão by sub at plus 255. I feel like I'm seeing a decent amount of edges here, but I'm just going to stick with 2 plays for now to go on my official record. Barão to win at minus 152, and Anders inside the distance at plus 177. I may add on some other plays to my official record before the weekend is out. If I do so, I will mention that on the Loshak in the Bag show that we do every day, 12 o'clock Eastern time and 6 o'clock Eastern time. Animarak, thank you so much for doing this video with me. Great analysis as always, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
Thanks so much for having me, Pete. Have a good one.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.